Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, glad to have you. In this video, we're going to give you a complete review and a full understanding of one of the most fascinating machines to ever roll out of Detroit, the 1966 Dodge Charger. We're going to walk through everything that matters, from the exterior design to the interior, the technology of its era, the performance, the driving experience, its practicality, its strengths, its weaknesses, what it cost then and what it's worth now, and how it stacked up against its rivals. So, if you want the full picture before you form your own opinion, stick around until the end, because there's a lot more to this car than most people realize. Picture the middle of the 1960s. America is in the middle of a horsepower race, and every manufacturer is trying to figure out how to capture the imagination of a younger, faster-moving generation. Ford had already shaken the industry with the Mustang, and Chrysler needed an answer. Something bold, something different, something that didn't just compete, but stood apart. What they built was not a compact pony car, it was something stranger and, in many ways, more ambitious. The 1966 Dodge Charger arrived as a full-size fastback, built on the Coronet platform, and from the moment it hit showroom floors, it made it clear that Dodge wasn't interested in playing it safe. The first thing anyone noticed about the Charger was that roofline. That long, sweeping, fastback silhouette gave it a shape unlike anything else in the Dodge lineup, more like a fighter jet's canopy than a family sedan. But the detail that really turned heads was the front end. Dodge equipped the Charger with hidden headlights, vacuum-operated panels that rotated away to reveal the lamps only when needed, leaving a clean, uninterrupted grille when they were closed. It was a small mechanical trick, but it gave the car a face that looked almost alive, mysterious when parked, aggressive when lit up at night. Around back, a full-width taillight stretched from fender to fender, glowing like a single red ribbon across the tail of the car. In an era when most cars looked like variations of the same basic shape, the Charger looked like it belonged in a different conversation entirely. Step inside, and the surprises kept coming. This wasn't a two-door coupe pretending to be practical. Dodge gave the Charger 4 genuine bucket seats, front and rear, connected by a full-length console that ran the entire length of the cabin, from the dashboard all the way to the trunk. It gave the interior a cockpit feel that very few cars of that period could match. Passengers weren't just sitting in a car, they were seated in individual command chairs, each with their own sense of space. And here's the part that really impressed families and enthusiasts alike. The rear seats could fold flat, turning the trunk and cabin into one continuous cargo floor. So underneath that sporty fastback body was a car that could actually swallow lumber, luggage, or camping gear when you needed it to. It was a rare blend of performance styling and station wagon usefulness, something that still feels clever 6 decades later. Now let's talk about what passed for technology and comfort back then, because context matters here. This was a car built in an era before touchscreens, before digital dashboards, before any of what we now call infotainment. What the Charger offered instead was a full instrument cluster with 4 round gauges, a genuine novelty at a time when many cars simply gave you a speedometer and a fuel light and called it a day. Buyers could option in an AM radio, and for those who wanted a bit more flair, simulated wood trim across the dash and console gave the cabin a warmer, more upscale feel. It doesn't sound like much next to a modern car, but for 1966, a fully instrumented dash with real gauges for oil pressure, amperage, and engine temperature was considered a genuinely driver-focused touch, the kind of detail that told you Dodge wanted this car to feel special from behind the wheel, not just fast in a straight line. Safety, too, has to be understood through the lens of its time. This was the same year the government began pushing manufacturers toward standardized safety equipment, and the Charger reflected that shift. Front seatbelts were now included as standard. Padded dash surfaces helped reduce injury in a collision, and the car featured backup lights as standard equipment, a small but meaningful step forward. There were no airbags, no crumple zone engineering as we understand it today, and certainly nothing resembling driver assistance technology. But within the context of 1966, the Charger wasn't behind the curve. It was actually moving with the industry's earliest steps toward taking occupant protection seriously. Now we get to the part everyone's been waiting for. What was actually under the hood? The 1966 Charger came with a range of engines, starting with a 318 cubic inch V8 as the base option, which offered smooth, dependable power for everyday driving. Step up, and you'd find a 361 or a 383 cubic inch V8, both offering a noticeable jump in muscle and a deeper, more aggressive exhaust note. But the engine that made the Charger legendary, the one enthusiasts still talk about with a certain reverence, was the optional 426 Hemi. This wasn't just another big engine, it was a race-bred power plant originally built for NASCAR, tuned down just enough to be street legal, producing a factory-rated 425 horsepower. Very few buyers actually checked that box, which is exactly why Hemi-equipped 1966 Chargers are among the most sought-after and valuable examples today. Paired with either a manual gearbox or Chrysler's TorqueFlite automatic, the Hemi Charger wasn't just quick, it was a genuine street-legal race car wearing a fastback body. Behind the wheel, the Charger delivers exactly what you'd expect from a mid-60s American performance car, and exactly what modern drivers often forget how to appreciate. The steering isn't razor-sharp by today's standards, and the body leans through corners in a way that reminds you this car was built in an era before modern suspension geometry took over. But there's a certain honesty to that experience. You feel the road, you feel the weight of the car shifting beneath you, and every input feels mechanical and direct in a way that's almost impossible to replicate in a modern vehicle full of electronic assistance. With a big V8 up front, the Charger rewards confident, deliberate driving, long, sweeping highway cruises where that torque just rolls on effortlessly, rather than tight, twisty back roads where its size and weight become more apparent. It's a car that feels like it was built for open American highways, not hairpin turns. And once you understand that, the driving experience makes complete sense. Living with a Charger day-to-day comes with real trade-offs, and it's worth being honest about them. Fuel economy was never a strength, especially with the bigger V8 options, and parts, while more available now thanks to a thriving restoration community, can still require patience and a bit of hunting, depending on originality. Rust was also a genuine concern for cars of this era, so any Charger you're considering today needs a careful inspection of the frame, floor pans, and trunk area. But on the flip side, that fold-down rear seat and long cargo floor mean this is one of the rare classic muscle cars that can genuinely still be useful, hauling more than you'd expect from something with this much attitude. So what are the real strengths here? The styling is unforgettable. Those hidden headlights and that fastback roofline still turn heads at any car show. The 4-bucket seat interior with the full console was ahead of its time and remains a genuinely unique cabin layout. The engine range, especially with the Hemi option, gave the Charger real performance credibility, not just looks. And that flat load floor gave it a practicality most sporty cars of the era simply didn't offer. On the weakness side, the ride and handling reflect the technology of their time. Braking performance by modern standards is modest, and finding a well-preserved, rust-free example today takes real diligence and often real money. Speaking of money, In 1966, the Charger carried a starting price around $3,122, positioning it as a premium offering within Dodge's lineup rather than an entry-level model. Today, the picture looks completely different. A well-maintained standard Charger can sell for anywhere in the $20,000 to $40,000 range, while genuine, documented Hemi-equipped examples can command prices well into six figures at auction, sometimes far beyond that, depending on condition and history. That shift tells you everything about how collector demand has transformed this car from a niche fastback into a genuine blue-chip piece of American automotive history. Against its rivals, the Charger occupied a strange and interesting space. The Plymouth Barracuda offered a similar fastback shape, but on a smaller, lighter platform, making it nimbler but less substantial. The Rambler Marlin tried a similar big fastback formula, but never captured the same performance reputation or visual drama. And the Ford Mustang, while wildly successful, played in a completely different segment, smaller, more affordable, more of a personal car than a genuine performance statement. The Charger, by comparison, felt like Dodge's answer to a question nobody else was quite asking. A full-size fastback with real V8 muscle and real interior ambition. And that's exactly why it still stands out in conversations about this era. Looking back now, the 1966 Dodge Charger represents something more than just another muscle car from the 60s. It was Dodge's statement that performance and imagination didn't have to be separate ideas, that a car could look like nothing else on the road while still offering genuine everyday usefulness. It didn't outsell the Mustang, and it wasn't the fastest thing on the strip, but it carved out its own identity, and that identity has only grown stronger with time. In the collector world today, it's remembered not as a footnote, but as the beginning of a nameplate that would go on to define an entire era of American performance. That's the complete story of the 1966 Dodge Charger, from its bold design and clever practicality to its powertrain options and its place in automotive history. If you enjoyed this deep dive, let us know what you think down in the comments. Hit that like button if this gave you a new appreciation for this car, and subscribe if you want more honest, in-depth looks at the machines that shaped automotive history. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.